So, Hare Krishna devotees, humble obeisances to all. We'd like to inform the devotee community that His Grace Agni Dev Prabhu was taken in ambulance to the emergency center on Ramsaran Street in Chaganos. They are presently running tests, so we'll update you to inform as information comes in. We humbly request devotees to offer special prayers on his behalf. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Grace Agni Deva Prabhu Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavaduttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 86. Arjuna kidnaps Subhadra, text 8, yeah? Wait, what's that text now? Tang parang samanudyayan Antarang prepsur Arjunaha Nalebhe shang brahmachitam Kame nati baliyasa Tang parang samanudyayan Antarang prepsur Arjuna Nalebhe sham brahmachita Kamenati baliyasa Tang parang samanudyayan Antarang prepsur Arjuna Nalebhe shang brahmachita Kamenati baliyasa. Tam, on her. Param, only. Samanudyayan, meditating. Antaram, the right opportunity. Prepsu, waiting to obtain. Arjuna, Nalebhe, could not experience. Sham, peace. Brahmat, wavering. Chittaha, his heart. Kamena, due to lust. Ati baliyasa, most strong. Translation and purport by followers of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation, meditating only on her and waiting for the opportunity to take her away, Arjuna had no peace. His heart trembled with passionate desire. Repeat. meditating only on her, and waiting for the opportunity to take her away, Arjuna had no peace. His heart trembled with passionate desire. Anybody have that experience? Purport. Even while being honored by Lord Balaram, Arjuna was too distracted to appreciate the Lord's gracious hospitality. Arjuna's distraction and Lord Balaram's failure to recognize Arjuna in his disguise were both arrangements of the Supreme Lord to enjoy his transcendental pastimes. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapitang Jena Bhutale Swayang Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Arjuna ki. So just the previous chapters, we're hearing how during the eclipse in Kurukshetra, so many people came for that auspicious occasion, especially from Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, the Gopas, the Gopis. Krishna brought all his queens, many queens. And even after the performance of the yagyas of Vasudev, the great saintly persons, many sages and saints, Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, they all came for the occasion. And Krishna was praising that one may go to a holy place or one may perform yagyas or rituals, but when a pure devotees come, by the mercy of the pure devotee, one can actually awaken his love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also, if you try to understand the Leela of Krishna, that there is love, there's devotion, there's excitement. I mean, Krishna, when all the queens came, Draupadi asked, well, how did Krishna marry you? And each one described that. Rukmini in particular said that, well, he fought off all the other contenders, those who also wanted to marry me, and took me in a what do they call that style when you steal? Huh? Raksha. So, actually, in this particular Leela, Krishna was encouraging Arjuna to marry Subhadra and also Vasudeva and Devaki. But Balaram, he wanted to somehow, all this, it may seem mundane, or how is it, these are spiritual personalities, they're not supposed to have feelings or lust or anger or, fighting with one another, and all these human-like activities are very bewildering to Queen Kunti, and all the sages were bewildered by how Krishna was acting as if a mortal being, exchanging with all the sages. But Krishna's teaching us a lesson, how we can actually awaken what we've forgotten, revive our eternal relationship with Krishna. It's not that it never existed. It exists still on a spiritual platform, but temporarily we've come to this material world to try to enjoy. separately from Krishna. But Krishna is showing with the love of the gopis, Rasa Leela, so many chapters describing the mood of the gopis feeling separation from Krishna, and how Krishna, in a very sometimes dramatic way, enhances their feelings of separation and desire for enjoyment. What is Krishna? Satchidananda Vigraha, eternal, full of bliss, full of knowledge. We're also Satchidananda, full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. But the dark cloud of Maya has us captured. We're all bewildered, and that Antaranga Shakti, that the covering potency, and there's a pulling potency also as well. All this Shakti, this Daivihesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Daratyaya, this potency of Maya has us totally bewildered. But Krishna is very kind. He personally comes with Balaram. They perform incredible pastimes because everyone is thinking of love and how to become happy and peaceful in this world. And everyone's endeavoring. This is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, which devotees are not interested in. But I was reading about Prahlad Maharaj, how Shanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya, were training all the sons of the demons. And Hiranyakashipu's son, Prahlad Maharaj, who was a great devotee, he was fortunate. He heard from Narada Muni about the absolute truth, about the entanglement of seeing in duality in this world. And the essence of politics is my friends, my enemies. Who are the groups of friends? They come with and just like Kurukshetra, each one gathered their allies to fight the battle. So this Dharma, which is prescribed in the Vedic literatures, which Vyasadeva was feeling not fully satisfied because all the Puranas and all the descriptions are there for performing this yajna and this sacrifice in order to fulfill your religious duties. And by doing your religious duties, your dharma artha, then naturally prosperity will come. You'll become wealthy, healthy, wealthy, and unwise. And so dharma artha kama. So what's the purpose of wealth? Is so that we can have a nice place, a nice car, nice clothes, nice food, and in this way, nice family, bewildered by the beauty of the wife and by the sweet talking of the children. And people have to work very enthusiastically in order to accomplish this. Otherwise, you feel like you're a failure. And a man's supposed to protect and provide all the necessities. But it goes for the whole life, and people are struggling. Whereas Prahlad Maharaj was instructing his school friends that from the beginning, one should learn Kaumarang Acharet Prajno Dharmang Bhagavataneha, that human life is meant for a reawakening our forgetful relationship with Krishna. And how fortunate we are that in the human form of life, we have an opportunity to hear from Narada Muni through Srila Prabhupada, that Brahma was enlightened by Narayan, by Lord Vishnu within the heart. Brahma hridayadi kavaye muyanti yat suryaha. So Krishna's only Krishna can speak the absolute truth, the Vedic literature, because humans have four frailties: imperfect senses, they're sure to make mistakes, tendency to cheat, and what else? Imperfect. Huh? Mistakes, see? Your forgetfulness and all these things. But Krishna is providing very crystal clear knowledge of what is the reality, that we don't belong in this temporary, miserable material world. And Narada Muni, he's a spiritual personality that travels throughout the universe, and throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni is awakening many different emperors and leaders and different persons throughout, and each and every circumstance is a new learning experience for us, because we can relate to it how we're also attached to empires or enjoyment of this material world. You know, this is mine, that's mine, okay, that's for them. And Narada Muni is giving our Prahlad Maharaj the absolute understanding. So in the same way, this Guru Parampara, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally came with Lord Nityananda to fulfill, like Krishna and Balaram came, perform many wonderful activities. You see how Arjuna was attracted by Subhadra and very much was so distracted by Subhadra that he couldn't really appreciate Lord Balaram's invitation. That's all he was thinking about. So when one is thinking of enjoying in this world, he becomes fully occupied with that, and no good philosophy and guidance from others will be helpful. When Hiranyakashipu was asking Prahlad, what is the best thing you learned from your teachers? Prahlad discarded Amarka and the other one, the two teachers of teaching all the demonic boys about how to enjoy in material world. He considered Narada Muni his teacher and his guide. So Srila Prabhupada brought this message of Srimad Bhagavatam with so much detail and so much enlivening philosophical understanding that if one simply follows and is obedient, then he is given this understanding. Vasudeve Bhagavati bhakti-yoga prayojata janagyashu vairagyam jnanam chayad ahaitukam. By devotional service to Krishna, Krishna helps us to understand what to become detached from the material world, vairagya, jnana vairagya, because unless one cultivates knowledge, and cultivating knowledge means to hear from the spiritual master. How does one associate with the spiritual master? To hear from him and to assist the spiritual master in his mission to also serve his spiritual master. Prabhupada tells the story how his friend dragged him to see Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he had a bad experience with sadhus. Like we hear how Indra also took the dress of a sannyasi to steal the horse from the sacrifice of Prithu Maharaj. And so here also Arjuna is in the garb of a sannyasi for ulterior purposes. So Srila Prabhupada, he wasn't so interested in that kind of sadhu, because the sadhus, many of them just wear the dress, but their behavior is not titikshava karunika suhrida sarvadehanam. So Srila Prabhupada, on his first meeting with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, was instructed that you are all young, educated boys. You should take this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world and spread this message. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants this. Bharata bhumi te hoila manusya janma jar, janma sarthaka kori kara parupakar. You're fortunate. You took birth in Bharat Varsh. This is where the Lord has so much appearance. And previously, people would travel to India for cultural and spiritual, philosophical understanding, because Prabhupada, he's not taking. Now, many times people think, oh, India is a poverty-stricken country. They need financial assistance and food and guidance, and they're backwards. But actually, the culture, the Vedic culture, the Varnashram Dharma, Bhagavad Dharma, is very, very scientific. And the philosophers and astrologers, and what to speak of Sanskrit, is the language of the gods. And the study of Sanskrit, it actually is scientifically composed in order to have a deeper understanding of the purpose and goal of life. but people are in darkness and they're suffering. Material life means a life of suffering. And Krishna is happy when the devotees enthusiastically take the message of Krishna and try to spread Krishna consciousness. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was encouraging Srila Prabhupada, you take this message. The Goswamis, the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, were given this enlightenment in his Leela, and they wrote so many books, a huge cartload of books, and all these transcendental literatures are meant for the guidance of everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at a very young age, had a big following, and they were all chanting and dancing, and he was saying that you don't need to perform all these rituals and so-called sacrifices that Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva Kelavam. Only by the chanting of the holy name you can achieve all perfection. All the ritualistic brahmanas were thinking, hey, this is our business, we have to do yagyas and we have to perform all these rituals and we have to keep everybody in this mentality of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. What is this fast, expedited way to the higher understanding or perfection of life? So they complained to the Chand Kazi, and then we know the Leela, the whole story, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he set the example that I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, a Vaishya, or Shudra, I'm not a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. What is he? Gopi, Bharatu, Padakamaryo, Das, 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 Anudas. And that means we're just a servant of the servant, but we've forgotten our identity that I'm actually Krishna Das. We're all servants of Krishna, but we're temporarily in this little body, which will be, it didn't exist 100 years ago. And as soon as we finish this body, we'll be on to another body and then another body, entrapped in the repeated cycle of birth and death in the world of darkness. And most people are performing sinful activities, killing the cows, killing the babies, acting against religious principles. And although there's description, of course, in the 5th canto, the hellish planets are there, but also Lord Kapila Dev gives a description of how when a sinful person is taken by the Yamadutas in the distance to the land of Yamaraj, and how he's beaten and how he's actually experiencing great anxiety. It says modern thinking people don't believe in these things. They think, oh, these are all just mythology stories. But the scripture is very revealing and enlightening. And just like one may think, well, I'm above the law, I can break the law, there'll be no punishment. But you break the law and there's punishment. You go to jail, you kill somebody, they hang you, electric chair, whatever. There's even in human modern society, there are rules and regulations. And so not just to scare everyone, but showing the love and excitement that goes on in the spiritual world, whether one is in the mood of das, servant, whether one is in the mood of sakya, friend, parent, lover. And we see all these relationships in this world, but on the spiritual world, they're absolute. There's no ending. Because the families that we have now, of course we have to love. But at the same time, it's a temporary, in some religions, they think that, okay, I'll die and I'll be there with Aunt Betty and my uncle and my grandfathers and we'll all be together with our station wagon and our, same house and garden and flower. Yeah, it's wishful thinking, but we do have a mother and father, and we do have relationships in the spiritual kingdom. But temporarily, we're bewildered by the desire to enjoy this world. So we may not understand all the leelas and how they're how Krishna's performing, or why he's doing this or that. You know, I'm thinking that here we are in Vrindavan, coming over for the greet the deities, and I see little cows looking for food and here and there. And I think, oh, Krishna's Gopal, you know, he's the lover of cows. And Go Brahmanya Devaya, Go Brahmane Taya Cha Jagaritaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. He loves the Brahmins, the cows, but we see so much suffering. Why Krishna allows that? Krishna doesn't interfere with our minute independence. And whatever so-called happiness and distress, it's just a temporary illusion on the bodily platform. Matra sparshasta kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agama payano nityas tang sitiksha shabarita. We have to learn to tolerate the inconveniences. I was giving one online class and someone asked, did you find it inconvenient to move from America to Vrindavan? I said, yeah, I have a nice place in America. It's very much more comfortable. And it was a bit austere back in the 90s. You know, there was a lot of, you know, the flies and bugs and the weather. And maybe we don't, all the Western comforts weren't available. But I said the excitement of being in Vrindavan, in the surcharged spiritual atmosphere, far surpassed any inconvenience, because I'm sure still there's some inconveniences, so many crowds, and the sewers aren't the best, and you know, so many things are giving us trouble. Ariatmika, Ari Daivika, Ari Bodhika, so many troubles are always there. But we should be so grateful and thankful that Srila Prabhupada brought us to Vrindavan, gave us an opportunity to hear Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna personally speaking to Arjuna, and then what to speak of Arjuna's surrender, appreciation of Krishna, Parang Brahma, Parang Dhamma, Pavitrang, Paramangvavan, Purusham, Shashvatam, Divyam, Adidev, Majambibhum. Krishna was being glorified by Arjuna, not as a friend, but because Krishna revealed himself. So Krishna is revealing so many intimate pastimes from Canto 1 to Canto 9. There's many glorifications of many saintly persons, prayers of Lord Shiva, and various leelas are taking place describing the beauty of the spiritual world, the beauty of Krishna. And then we come to the 10th canto, how personally Krishna takes birth on this earth, right there, here in Mathura, in Brajdam, and how the Leela starts unfolding with Balaram and Srimati Radharani and Nanda and Yashoda, and then the demons causing so much trouble, but the loving pastimes with Krishna, with the cows and the calves. We just went through Gopastami, how Krishna living in a natural setting with such beauty. And in Vrindavan, everyone loves Krishna. The river, the trees, the birds, the animals, everybody's in love with Krishna. And we also have a love for Krishna that is being awakened by the process of chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. It's not that we're going to artificially come to that transcendental, spontaneous, loving platform simply by our own imagination. You know, think, well, let me go and just sit down and just chant all day long. Because the mind is restless, the senses are restless. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, what kind of cheap pretender are you sitting in solitude, chanting, looking for artificial glorification from others, and simply meditating on money and women? And unless we're busy in Krishna's service, then the mind is difficult and impossible to control. So Srila Prabhupada gave us the full morning program, beautiful deity worship, association of devotees, satsanga. But without the satsanga, it says that on his own, one cannot achieve the highest perfection. Maybe when in Satya Yuga, you had 100,000 years, you could sit like Valmiki for 60,000 years meditating on Paramatma in the heart. You can awaken love for God. But in this age, Kali Kalir Dharma Krishna Nam Sankirtan. So our business is to chant Krishna's name, to hear Krishna's pastimes in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. And because Krishna arranged all these activities for Arjuna to marry Subhadra, and the Leela is just so exciting and incredible. Like Mahabharata was written so that it would actually, those who are not philosophically inclined or who are attached to family, they naturally want to hear the chivalry of kings and queens and soldiers and beautiful, marrying so many goddesses. These are all very intriguing activities. They make good movies, and people are bewildered and mesmerized by the idea of this is the enjoyment of this world. But Srila Prabhupada, even though he struggled so much when he arrived in Boston, I know they just had the ceremony, 60th anniversary in Boston, and Srila Prabhupada was saying, I don't know, all these, it seems that everyone's in the mode of passion and ignorance. I don't know how they'll understand this Bhagavad Dharma, but if you make my words suitable for their understanding, make me dance, I'm your puppet, make me dance. But he signed the insignificant, worthless servant. Prabhupada, very, very humble, although he has so much understanding and so much knowledge, but he gives all credit to his Guru Maharaj for fulfilling the desire of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, that by fulfilling the desire of your spiritual master who's giving you Krishna, then the realizations come. That we go on book distribution to satisfy Prabhupada. We distribute prasadam. We do kirtan together. We sit together to glorify Krishna. This is all pleasing to Krishna, and the realizations will come. All realizations. So we want to continue, because if we can somehow use our energy and whatever we understand of Krishna consciousness to encourage others and spread this mission, just like Janananda Maharaj, he's traveling, he's in Europe, and he's pushing the Sankirtan, pushing the book distribution, encouraging everyone with his enthusiasm, despite the body getting older. He seemed like a young, you ever see him jump and dance? I can hardly waddle around, but it's impressive. Prita Prabhu still pushing on, and he would go to big festivals, and just by the kirtan, and people would be interested, and he'd make so many devotees, so many nice devotees assisting Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada was in California speaking about how my spiritual master sent all of you who are helping me so much in spreading Krishna consciousness, he became very emotional. I said, I thank you very much for assisting me and assisting my spiritual masters to spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to be dedicated and sincere, and Krishna will make arrangements. Isn't it? We all start, we're bhaktas, and sometimes we become temple commanders, sometimes we become, head of departments, sometimes we become president, GBC, VEB, and BBT, and, so many positions are there. Sometimes, we're like in a high position, and so-called, but actually, Lord Chaitanya didn't identify with that. I'm just a servant, das das anudas. And to become a servant means that I'm willing to serve you and please you in any way possible. And when the Prachetas, after hearing the song of Lord Shiva, performed great meditation, and by this mantra meditation, Krishna on Garuda with 8 arms appeared before the Prachetas. And Krishna said, I am so pleased with all of you because of your mutual cooperation in your devotional service. You're serving by performing the necessary yajna, but you're cooperating together. And Prabhupada wanted that. He built a house where everyone can live together. And this house is Krishna consciousness. If you look at the history, where was there an organization? There are so many organizations, mercantile organizations and health organizations and political groups and military groups. But this is an organization for training or helping us to get out of the entanglement of repeated birth and death and awakening eternal life with happiness. And Neha Bikramo Nashasti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swapmapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bayat. Even a little advancement on this path of devotional service protects one from the most dangerous type of fear. And that dangerous type of fear is the repetition of birth and death. When will we ever have another opportunity to meet Srila Prabhupada in the form of his guidance in this Srimad Bhagavatam, in the form of devotees? We might not all be 100% clean, akama, sarvo, kamo, va, moksha, kamo, dadadi, all kinds of personalities approach to Lord. You know, Dhruva Maharaj had so many desires. But as we associate with devotees and do the bhajana kriya, anartha nivriti, then all the bad qualities, the lust, the anger, the greed, the selfishness, the jealousy, the envy, all these things which materialists are very prominent. One is always envious and jealous, and one wants to outdo the other. But devotees, they appreciate the service of other devotees. They actually genuinely are so happy to see, oh, someone's doing such nice service. Big book distributor, even though he's beating me, it's okay. He's doing nice service. We become also sometimes transcendently jealous. I know on Sankirtan, we used to be out there, and if you're doing good, others might look at you like, you know, what are you doing? How is it? But we understand it's Krishna, and Krishna's empowering. If we first deserve, then desire. And that deserving means utsahan nishchayat daryat tat karma pavartanat. That with enthusiasm, determination, and patience, we carry out our service without any expectation. Anyabhilashata shunyam jnana karmadyanavritam. We're not doing the service just for, well, I'm doing the service, so I should get X, Y, and Z. We know that Nava-Yogendra Maharaj is always promoting that selfless service. Must surrender to the Guru and just selflessly serve, not have any motivation or ulterior desires for name and fame and monetary gain. But all of us are very, very fortunate, and we should remain fortunate by enthusiastically appreciating the devotees, being loving and kind towards all living beings, because Krishna is in everyone's heart. He's not in Daridranayan. He's not only some poor. Krishna's everywhere. But he could be in the heart of a rich man, in the heart of the animals. But Krishna's in every atom. He's everywhere. But also he has a loving relationship with each and every devotee, and he wants to see that love and devotion, patrang pushpang palang toyang yome bhaktya prayachati, that whatever we're doing, whether cleaning the floor, addressing the deities, book distribution, cooking, and serving devotees, preaching, do it for the pleasure of Krishna, and do it for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, he's our founder acharya. He's as far as I understand, for the next 10,000 years, the teachings that Prabhupada's given us are the essence of all the Vedic literatures and all the commentaries from the acharyas. And every time you read Srimad Bhagavatam, you get newer and newer realizations. Every time you read Krishna book, every time you read Bhagavad-Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Chaitanya Charitamrita, the highest truths are being presented. The highest rasas are available. We're blinded because of material desires. But if we surrender to this, Krishna is asking for surrender. Sarva dharmam prityaja mamekam sharanang vraja. You surrender, I'll protect you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. So in the same way, we surrender to Prabhupada, Prabhupada's mission, Prabhupada's society, be fortunate to be sheltered and make our advancement back home, back to Godhead. I got the sign, I got to end by 9 o'clock. So I gotta wrap things up for questions and answers. I get in trouble sometimes. Srila Prabhupada ki. So if there are any questions, comments, complaints, of course, all of you must know that management is not an easy job. Because, sometimes you make a decision and there are many people on the sidelines who don't know all the details, but they want to throw either applause or rotten tomatoes, one of the two. And the idea is that we want to do what's best for Prabhupada and for spreading the society. But if we do it with compassion and love, and there's always ways of how to explain in a very clear way. And it's also our own mentality. We should see that Krishna's giving me an opportunity to be humble and to really appreciate that not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of Krishna. So, any questions, comments? Everyone's so quiet today. Is this the quiet meditation time? No? Okay, Shruta's going to save me. Shruta's going to ask a question, and then Prabhuji will. You'll ask too? No?
Hare Krishna. No, actually a comment. You mentioned the law books. So I wanted to say it was in September 1973 when Srila Prabhupada was at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Every evening he was doing darshans. Many people were coming, and big rock stars and politicians, different people, professors. And every night, practically, Prabhupada would quote from his Bhagavad-Gita as it is. And he would give the Sanskrit, and then he would look at me and say, find that verse. Yes, and he was very happy because in the back of the Gita was the index.
Right.
So just by hearing one word, from the shloka, you could find it. Then he'd have me read it and then speak the English. And every night he would say, these are our law books. So the Bhagavad Gita as it is, just through the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada kept pressing how everything we say through the Shastra. And he said his books were the law books. And it was one of two times. The other one was Rameshwara's witness. It was one of two times that Prabhupada said these were the law books for the next 10,000 years. So that's all.
Yeah, throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's quotations from Bhagavad-Gita. Bhagavad-Gita, we sometimes think, oh, that's just the ABCs of spiritual life. But it's very, very deep. The entire Bhagavad-Gita is so thick and so full of philosophy and deep understanding that you can read it again and again and again and keep it fresh. Yes, Preetu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada was so convinced that this movement is successful. There was an incident that some big gentleman came to Prabhupada in Bombay, Mahamsa, Prabhu told me. And they said, Swamiji, we have only one request. Prabhupada said, what is your request? He said, our request is that you please assign a successor. Prabhupada said, my spiritual master also didn't set this example. How can I do that? I won't. Then Swamiji, your movement is 100% finished if you don't assign a successor. And Prabhupada laughed into their face loud. And he said, this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. This is Krishna's movement. And it will be 100% successful. And you will be 100% unsuccessful when you die.
Thank you, yes. This is Prabhupada. He didn't take credit for himself. He always directed us to Krishna, surrender to Krishna. Sometimes there's many personalities that attract big crowds we see here. And sometimes they have some mystic powers, produce some gold and some things, and many people artificially take them as God. But without sadhu, shastra, guru, Prabhupada was always very, very keen on explaining that everything that's being presented is authorized shastrically, historically, by the great saint, recognized saintly persons, sadhu, shastra, and guru. So we can feel assured that the knowledge we're receiving is the topmost knowledge coming directly from Krishna to bring us back home. Any other question? Comment? Mataji? We have... Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Yes, and I remember in Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, they described Prabhupada, he wanted that the Murti here in Vrindavan are installed like at Mumbai and Mayapur, and he done it the same year. And they didn't have money, but he was so sure that Krishna helped, that immediate in 1 year, the 3 sets of Murti have been installed here in Mayapur and Mumbai. The devotee was saying, but how we will do? He said, you order the Murtis, then everything will come. We start.
Nice. I have one more thing, just I just read the other day. Anyway, it says that, I don't have my glasses, that let me read it. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we therefore invite all the elderly persons of the world to come to Vrindavan and stay there in retired life, making advancement in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada is inviting everyone, come to Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Arjun Subhadra ki jai. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.